In this video, you'll learn more about what Mike Mignola is known for, what to pay attention to when you're practicing his style, and how to apply his techniques to your own subjects. The key benefit of studying a unique master like Mike Mignola is that it can provide direction for styling your drawings in a convincing way. He's managed to make extremely stylized cartoons feel realistic and legendary. At first glance, his techniques seem easy. At least that's what I thought a couple years ago when I first tried to study his works. I couldn't figure it out. I traced, I copied his work, without truly understanding the logic of his designs. Disappointed with myself, I parked it until my skills progressed a bit more. If you are a beginner artist or new to pen and ink, my recommendation: give his style a try, and if you have an affinity for it, it clicks for you right away, that's great. If it's frustrating, don't give up. Save it for later. Don't beat yourself up like I did. You see, on a scale of 1 to 5, from beginner to expert, Mignola is over here on the genius level. And throughout this video, I'll show you why and how. Mike Mignola is an award-winning comic writer and artist, best known for his creation of Hellboy. His style is easily recognizable by the blocky shape shadows. He uses contrast to maximum levels. He leaves no tone with very minimal rendering. In addition to the blocky shape shadows, you'll observe the paper doll hands of his characters. Lack of smooth curves or circles, his shapes are all angular. Minimalistic rendering, he uses gap tooth hatching, dashes, dents, and strands. It's in the execution of those details that sets Mignola apart. It's been said that he disregards using correct anatomy or perspective. I disagree. You'll see later in this video how angles and proportions are scaled correctly on the picture plane. There is a loose, free-form feel to his drawings, but it's deceptively calculated. The details are tightly polished. The result is a deliberate combination of loose, precise strokes. And you'll realize this for yourself through repetition. These are not details I would have picked up on observation alone. It was after my 4th study that I started to notice those little things, like his disdain of circles. Even his clouds are blocky. Anyways, looking at his finished artwork isn't all that helpful. Instead, search through his sketches. In this quarantine sketchbook, we see construction lines and the stroke direction he used. Even though those sections will be filled in with solid black at the inking stage, he stylized the strokes anyway. The way he pencils his underdrawings ensures all the major decisions are made prior to doing the inks. That level of professionalism in his sketches carries all the way through. That's why he's ranked high above on the expert scale. I would love to get my hands on a physical copy of the Quarantine Sketchbook in the future. Meanwhile, I found sample pages on Amazon, on his Instagram, and there are several flip-through videos of it on YouTube. I mentioned that it was through repetition that Mignola's work started to make sense for me. The perspective on this weapon is accurate. The anatomy of the hand is convincingly realistic. The proportions are exaggerated for style, yet everything is scaled relatively. For example, the character's body parts, which are closest to the viewer, are proportioned in relation to the body parts further in the picture plane. He does respect the laws of anatomy and perspective. Look at the way this loincloth is wrapped and where the legs come out. How the drapery is shaped by using downward strokes describes to the viewer that this character's ribs and belly are heavy. It's proof that he is faithful to the fundamentals. For this practice, instead of filling in the solid shadow blocks with black ink, I used hatching strokes. This helped for getting a clearer sense of the angles he used. If you're getting a Franklin Booth vibe from this rendering technique, it's likely that Booth is one of Mignola's influences. I switched to my high-quality moleskin sketchbook for the final study, still using my Tombow fineliner pens. I started sketching basic shapes, making sure the composition fits on the page. Despite my earlier practice, I was challenged to copy a finished inked piece. It's much easier to copy his pencils because those drawings show the construction lines. This one does not. See these folds of the trench coat bunch up above Hellboy's funky arm? That's probably the trickiest part of this piece, capturing the staggering light on the sleeve drapery. And this section, it's unclear to me if that's a flower or Hellboy's foot or hoof. I worried about accidentally inking a section that's intended to be left white, so I indicated where the solids would go, either with hatches or small X's. Mignola adds a contour line to everything, and so I did the same. And then I filled in the solids with a thicker tip pen. To demonstrate how to incorporate Mignola-isms into your creations, I gathered 4 copyright-free references, converted to grayscale, then pushed the contrast levels. You can do this yourself in any photo program. I rough sketched the apple as I normally would, then to Mignolize it, I chopped away the roundness into blocky angles. Put a contour line around it, all the same weight. Mignola does not taper his strokes from thick to thin. He uses a single line weight throughout the illustration. Then fill in the solids based on the photo reference with a few dash hatches to indicate the form, as he does. For the daisy, I added a backdrop with a second daisy to try the reversed overlap effect Mignola uses in his compositions. Even though the flower shape is cartoony, you'll note how clean Mignola's strokes are. This is what it would look like if the stroke was not clean. The lines either cross over one another or are incomplete. Mignola keeps his strokes neat, never scribbly. This toad creature is perfect for doing the blocky shape shadows, the paper doll hands, and the gap tooth and dash hatches. As mentioned, Mignola does not use gradations or tones, so I aim to space the gap tooth hatches evenly as he does. And lastly, for the church, even the buildings have that blocky look. All the lines have an angle to a slight degree. They're not straight. I hope that you enjoyed learning more about what Mike Mignola is known for, and that you'll use these tips to practice his style and apply his techniques to your own subjects. As always, I'm happy to read your suggestions in the comments of masters you'd like to see featured, and if you're looking for more of a step-by-step on how to do master studies in general, I've linked to that video in the description below. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.